Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. Thank you so much for watching my videos. This video, we are going to talk about something which has been recently introduced because of the new types of ships which are being built. Yes, we are going to talk something about the newly introduced the IGF code and the certification required for the seafarers. Let's jump into the video and I will explain to you as we go what is it all about. This is a small video on the IGF code and what are the certification required and what is all about. Okay, the IGF code is basically, it's not the exact expansion of the IGF per se, but for easy understanding, I have expanded the IGF code to be the code of safety for ships using gas as fuel. Basically, they are talking about safety where the fuel is gas. Traditionally, in the shipping industry, the fuel was always liquid, the too heavy liquid. Either it was heavy oil or diesel oil. These are the two major fuels which were being used on board vessels. Now, recently, with all the decarbonization drive going on around the world and people switching over to CNGs and electric vehicles on the road, ships are also changing their fuel from liquid to gas. Basically, the CNG what we use, the same thing is used on board as LNG. CNG is the compressed natural gas, but on board we use liquefied natural gas as fuel. Basically, this is not a new concept where earlier there were ships which were able to use the boil off, which is the cargo which is vaporizing from the liquefied natural gas cargo, which cannot be, which had to be burnt because it was not possible for the same to be re-liquefied. Like in case of LPGs, the LPGs were possible to be re-liquefied and again put back into the cargo tank. But in case of LNGs, which is a natural gas, which is its boiling point is minus 162 degrees, which is very difficult for it to be re-liquefied on board a ship. Hence, it was always burnt, or there was a unique way found out where the same gas could be used in the engines. That was only a very small part where there was no storage of gas or liquefied gas to say, as a fuel, and it was just the boiler which was being used in the engines. Now, there are specific tanks being constructed for storing this fuel, and this is a separate fuel tanks apart from the cargo tank. This is not part of the cargo and this is part of the fuel system of the vessel. Hence, IMO thought there is a requirement where the safety of operating these vessels to be considered and seafarers to be trained on. Hence the IGF code. Okay, we will now talk about only relevant portions of the IGF code related to the training of seafarers which are required and which can be easily understood by any non-seafarer. Basically, what used to happen earlier, there was something called the Dangerous Cargo Endorsement or DCE, which was required if you are working on a ship which is carrying dangerous cargo. Okay, so that meant it can be oils, it can be crude oil, it can be products, it can be gas, it can be LPG, it can be LNG, it can be ammonia, any kind of a gas or a liquid or a chemical you were carrying in the liquid form. Then you had something called the dangerous cargo endorsement. You had an oil dangerous cargo endorsement, you had a chemical dangerous cargo endorsement, or you had a gas dangerous cargo endorsement. Now there is a fancy name come for the same dangerous cargo endorsement, which is called the certificate of proficiency. Rather than calling it an endorsement, it is called now the certificate of proficiency. So now what happens is these dangerous cargo endorsements or the certificate of proficiency was not required if you are working on a dry ship. That is, if you are working on a passenger ship, if you are working on a container ship, if you are working on a bulk carrier, then all these dangerous cargo endorsements are not required because you are not carrying the oil cargo or the dangerous cargo in bulk. Now, with the advent of new engines where the fuel itself is these cargoes which are being used, like it can be LNG, it can be hydrogen, it can be ammonia, all this cargo which are being used as a fuel now, then they have a separate storage containers for these fuels on board the ship. Like you had previously, if you've gone on a container ship or a bulk carrier, you will have heavy oil tanks, you will have diesel oil tanks. Similarly, now you will have LNG tanks, now you will have ammonia tanks, which are actually carrying ammonia, or which is carrying liquid nitrogen, natural gas, or you are carrying liquid hydrogen. So in that case, I thought the seafarer need to be trained, because the seafarers who were on dry ships, who were not required to have these dangerous cargo endorsements, have to now get the proficiency in handling these cargoes, which are basically the fuel for the ships. Hence the introduction of this IGF code. What is the IGF code? Vessels including dry cargo have started using gas fuels away from the traditional fuel oil and diesel oil. As I mentioned, the dry cargo ships have started using gas fuels. Examples of alternate fuels can be LNG, methanol, hydrogen, etc. Okay, so there are ships which are being operated only on methanol, on LNG, hydrogen, etc. The purpose is to establish international safety standards for ship using such gases as fuel for the ships. Okay, as simple. What certification is required for seafarers? There are two types of courses basically. One is the basic level and one is the advanced level. The basic level is called basic training for ships using fuel covered within the IGF code. There are a list of liquids which are covered under the IGF code. Hence, if you are using any of those liquids as fuel on board your ship, then you would need to have this certification. If you are a rating, you would need a basic course. If you are an officer, you would need an advanced. And basically, after the courses, as I mentioned earlier, there was something called the DCEs, or the dangerous cargo endorsements. Now we have the certificate of proficiency. We have one basic certificate of proficiency and one advanced certificate of proficiency in line with the basic DCE or the advanced DCE. Procedure for basic COP, it is pretty simple actually. Basic IGF course or basic advanced COP for gas tankers. If you already are working on a gas tanker, or you already have a DC or of the gas tanker, apply on DG website free of cost. This basic DC or the basic COP is free of cost and it can be applied online. Then basic IGF COP issued. Very simple. So basically you will need to have this basic course, which is a 5-day course, and after that you would need to have a basic DCE of the gas tanker, and then you apply for the COP, that is the IGF COP, which is called online on DG website, and then you get the basic IGF COP issue. For the advanced, it's a little complicated. First, advanced IGF course or advanced COP for gas tanker. Again, this advanced IGF course is a 5-day course, or you have an advanced COP for gas tankers, which if you are already working on a gas tanker, then you have IGF basic COP. This is, for example, if you are a complete pure dry hand and you have never seen a tanker in your life, then this is what is the process. IGF basic COP, that is you get your IGF basic done, that is 5 days course, then you get the COP, then you have the IGF advanced course, you do this course, IGF advanced course, then you will need to have 1 month sea time plus 1 month bunkering operation after the basic COP. You cannot immediately do it. You have to go on board, do a 1 month and do one bunkering of. Bunkering means what? Not the fuel oil, diesel oil. It should be the bunkering of the liquid fuel, rather alternate fuel like the LNG, methanol, or the hydrogen, which I mentioned in the previous screen. Or if you are already working on gas ships, advanced COP for gas tanker, that is the advanced DC which I was talking about. 3 months sea time on tanker carrying the fuel as cargo. That is like if you are working on a methanol carrying ship or a LNG carrying ship, or use cargo boil off in engines. As I mentioned, if you are using the cargo and if you are using the cargo boil off in the engines on your gas carriers. Okay, this cargo boil off in the engines is only possible in the gas tankers. It cannot be possible in the dry ships or anything. Okay, because the cargo has to evaporate and the evaporated gas will be used in the engine. Okay, this is for people who are already holding gas tanker DC or the gas tanker COP, or already sailing on the gas vessels. Okay, for them this is the requirement. Company experience letter in the format, that is a circular, and I will attach the circular in the description. You can go through the circular also. It has a format for the experience letter that has to be given by the company. Apply manually after payment of INR 3,000 in Bharat Kosh. Bharat Kosh you have to pay INR 3,000, that is the fees for the advanced IGF COP. The basic IGF COP was free. The advanced IGF COP is 3,000 rupees. And there is no online procedure as of now. You have to apply manually to the MMD, whichever MMD is closer to you. Okay. Issue advanced IGF COP. So that completes the small video where I started by explaining what is the IGF code, what is the relevance in today's scenario of the new vessel types, or rather vessel fueling systems which are being introduced into the maritime industry. And I also explained what is the procedures for getting the basic and the advanced IGF COPs. Thank you so much for watching my videos. I will meet you in the next one. Till then, take care, be safe, bye bye.